What's going on, everyone? Welcome to ToyShopFab, where occasionally I like to spend a half an hour talking to a camera and I didn't press record. So, let's do this again. Um, for those of you that are new, this is my 93 GMC 1500 that the last few months I have tore down in favor of building a drag and drive truck. Also recently announced that I have registered this thing to take it on Hot Rod Power Tour. So I have just been cramming as much work as I can into this thing the last couple months to get it at least close enough to drive and give myself a little bit of time to find an alternative vehicle if I couldn't get this one going. So I'm going to like to tell you that we have done a pretty good job keeping up with the work that this truck needs, getting it to a point where I can drive. Now, I know the last video too, I said I need to drive this thing before I go back to work. So hopefully this is the last video of me tinkering on it. So the next one you see, we are going for a drive. But do a little recap here. Last video, we built my, get up underneath the dash here, or I had built one. I'd showed you a fuse relay panel that I had built and wired into the truck. Also, our dash recapped and installed as well. And a fuse panel over there that you can see I have done a lot more wiring to. I have added relays and fuses to control our fuel pump, our intercooler, water pump, and our electric fan. So all that is wired into the truck and being controlled by the ECU. So that is done. So off camera, as you can see, got the passenger side fender painted and installed. It is just kind of mocked up there. Bolts still need to be tight. Also, I wanted to show you guys real quick. I had picked up a 94 to 98 grill. I like these ones much better. They seem to have a little more attitude. Here is the original. I needed a new one anyways. It has been kind of busted up. This corner here is broke. And truthfully, I like that grill much better. Now I'm still waiting on this lower filler panel for the 94 to 98. The 93 filler panel attaches to the grill. Grill attaches to the core support. 94 to 98. The filler panel attaches to the core support, and it uses the filler panel to attach the lower half to the core support. So I need that to in order to fully secure that front grill, but I can at least get it sat up there. I can get my blinkers and side marker lights installed in this grill so we can get it installed on the truck, see what that looks like. Also got another little treat for you. I'll put a link to all these in the description. Now, if anyone was to go on eBay or search to find digital dashes for this thing, they're anywhere between, I found them, I should say, between $400 and $700, I believe. Maybe high threes, but at least starting there. So what I did was I went on and I found a bunch of digital gauges for pretty cheap. Bought a piece of just like a carbon fiber plate, gutted the original dash or cluster in this truck, and this is what I came up with. Before I show you the face, we'll get you in here so you can see, whoops, all the little wiring and stuff. I got the plugs made up. Let's see here, but it's plugged in. But anyways, let's fold this thing forward. So this is what I come up with. Get you out here. And I actually think it's really cool. It's gonna look neat in there. Go ahead and turn the key on. So everything's plugged in and works, and everything is red backlit, all except for the water temp one, but that's okay. So volts, fuel sending unit 0, because there is very little gas in that tank. Oil pressure 0. Water temp, I'm still waiting on the sending unit for the engine, but everything else is ran. right there. RPM gauge is a little slow registering. Took me a while to figure out how to even get it there. It is pretty accurate, and if you're just cruising, it'll go to wherever it is you're going. So it's there. I have it. I'm not quite sure exactly how I feel about it. I know it matches the mile per hour gauge or the speedometer. I'm not quite sure how well that works either because it's GPS. It all looks really, really cool. And truth is, if I really need something, I'll put like a shift light that runs off RPMs. I'll put it somewhere up on the roll bar or on the dash. When that time comes, we'll see how accurate our miles per hour is. It's GPS, but I do like that fact of having a fuel gauge in here. We'll see how accurate that is. Volts, give or take. Yep, the oil. So, but the two things I really did want to see is oil pressure and water temp. So that's wired in. I'm going to get that screwed into the dash so I can get this bezel put back on. And then we're going to go install our grill. So be right back. All right, well, I figured, you know what? Let's hang out a little bit longer, okay? I got to put the screws in this dash or this instrument cluster here, which, tell me what you guys think of the looks, right? How's it look? Let me know in the comments. But plus I figured out, you know what? I'm going to take this time and kind of explain or go over what I was trying to go over the first half hour that I was talking to no one but a camera. So what I did, there we go, is I was basically just trying to go over some of the things I did since our last video. Like I only had the fuel pump over there being controlled off of our relay. And as you guys can see there, or as I showed you, I've got our fuel pump is now controlled. Our water pump for the intercooler is now controlled. Radiator fan, we got the powers ran for it. All that stuff is now controlled off the relay panel over there. I was basically just going over some of the wiring and stuff like that on what I did, how I passed through. And then I get to this point realizing I didn't, well, I said I'll be right back. Went to hit pause or realized I hit record. So that's how that happened. But if anybody's interested, it's mainly 7mm that hold these dashes together, and there is quite a few of them. So gotta kind of be a little gentle on some of the edges of this one here because it is kind of beat up. But definitely looks a lot better than it did. I'll say that. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this thing out on the street. Like I said, this should be the last video of me tinkering. There's just a few things I gotta try to take care of. Everything is on. GPS, but yeah, miles per hour is GPS. So that little guy sitting up here, I'll double side tape or run us. I'll mount it permanently later, but for right now, that's where it's going to sit. Make sure everything comes on. Everything does. Click it once. Now let's get our headlight switch back in. Kind of help complete some of the look that I've been going for. I like it, all the black and the red and everything that's in here. Eventually have to get back in and wire up the little LEDs on our headlights, but right now this will just have to do. Set that in there. This is the first time we're seeing this together, actually. That the bezel is over. I've test fitted the cluster, but not with the bezel. So we're seeing that together for the first time. And that's another reason why I decided, you know what, let's not do the whole right back thing. Let's just get these started. And these screws here on this bezel are T20 Torx. So, see how well this fits. This bezels and everything, they usually sat in a, it has another piece for the cluster, the factory cluster. It's got the little glass or the plastic that usually goes in front, kind of like the lens or to protect it. I did away with that. Don't like it, unless it was faded. And I think this just looks better too if you can look in here and see all this. And then I'm going to show you guys here too this big hole I put in this cluster originally that I need to figure out something to do with, because it's either make a cubby hole or repurpose the thing I have on it already. All right. Actually, I think that looks pretty good here. So here's what everything looks like with our headlight switch, our gauges. Everything comes on. Our little horn here. Let's see if you guys can hear. That is the brake light relay. Got the brake lights all wired up and in. So I think that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, that hole. That hole I wanted to show you guys. So I got this big old hole here I got to figure out what to do with. I have the original panel that goes there. I might put that back on and make probably some kind of little storage compartment out of it, but I'm not 100% concerned with it right now. I'm trying to get some of this stuff wired in so we can, or at least get it secure enough to take this thing on a test drive, at least up to the gas station, get some fuel in it to make sure my fuel gauge actually works. There's enough fuel in it to get up there. It's got 5 gallons in it, but part of that is sitting in that sump that I made on this fuel cell. So it actually only sees, it's probably only going to see in like 2, or it's 3.5. And I have put my hand in there and it hasn't touched the float yet. I can lift it up by my hand and it does register. So we got that. But now I just want to see how accurate it is. So we'll get that up to the fuel station. Got our factory tail lights in because I have not received the ones I had. And frankly, I don't feel like waiting, so I wired in those ones. Hopefully I can get the other ones to work the way I want, or at least spend a day after all of this, after we're done driving this thing around. So right now they work. I've tested them. Everything's good. Now, here is what I was talking about our first half hour. So you can see there, we have our switch panel relay that controls this guy here. And that is a key on. That relay is operated by the key on bus bar here underneath all those guys. And that is a 5 amp fuse that turns that relay on. The powers, on the other hand, are from this fuse panel over here. And that is a 7.5 amp fuse, because that controls the signals out. The key on just turns the relay on to send power to the panel. The panel only sees 7.5 amps because it has I have a charger in here, so our phone charger, we can plug into that to charge our phones. And then these switches here. This guy is also wired up, eBay unit. I figured I'll buy some cheap little speakers to put up in there and back in here, so we have some tunes, or maybe try to listen to something while we're driving. But anyways, so there's our switch panel relay, rad fan relay, fuel pump, intercooler. We wired up our switch panel because these two, the fuel pump and intercooler water pump are going to be controlled off that guy eventually. That's because if I need to turn the motor over, I don't want it to start. I just want to hit the key, or I need it controlled by an outside source. So that is wired up. Everything still needs to be secured though. It's just wires ran. Just sitting in there. So anyways, enough of that. Let's get set up and let's see. Get our blinkers installed in this in this grill. Let me know what you guys think of the 94 to 98 grill. You like, which one you like better, the 94, 98, or the first one, 93, 92, 91, 89, or 90. I believe the truck, they changed the body style in 88. So I think that was a little bit different. And then 90, 93, I think is this one. Not 100% sure. Sure, one of you will let me know, but personally, I like the 94 to 98. Anyways, get you guys up in the stand here. We'll do a quick little time lapse. I'll get our blinkers installed, get our side markers installed on that, get it sat up in the truck. And here we go. All right, new grill is on the truck, and I gotta tell you, I'm very happy and pleased with the way it looks, especially compared to the factory grill. I don't know, maybe it's the color, the depth of the grill on this one, the headlights, maybe the configuration or what I picked out for that. Maybe all that has to play a factor in it, but to me, it just looks way cooler, a lot meaner with that grill or that setup on it than it does compared to that. Like I said, I am very, very happy with the way this is turning out. And I've also been tossing around my head. I know my plan is to wrap the truck all that color, but now that I see this black on here, I'm thinking of changing that up a little bit. The side of the truck, both sides wrapped that way, but doing the grill up the roof and then back down the back of the bed where there'd be a bed cover, keep that this satin black. I think that would look really, really cool. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I am starting to get a little sick, so I'm trying to power through it. I'm trying to work, trying to get this thing set up so I can get on a drive before I go back to work. So we got the grill on, lights are in, everything's wired, everything works. So the final thing I'm going to do today is I got the hood set up in place. We're going to go ahead and clean up the bottom of that. I know I've showed you guys where I put the fenders on, but I haven't showed you what I've done to paint them or how I've prepped them to paint. And it's really, really simple process. All that's just spray paint, spray clear, a little elbow grease cleaning. So I'm going to show you what I've done. Here is the bottom of our hood. As you can see, it is really, really grungy from all the oil and dirt and everything being slung up over the years. But you can also see most of it will wipe off, which dish soap and that little scotch right there will take care of most of it. I've got the wire brush out here, and that's to kind of help with some of this thicker grime. It'll help break it off, and then once I got most of the big stuff broke off with the wire brush, I'll go back over it with soap and water. And the wire brush is to take this little foam pad off. These come up over the factory hinges, kind of like a little sound ender, but these are old and, well, they're falling apart. So get the wire brush on there. Usually does quick work of it, especially when you get two hands on there. Takes it off real fast, and then I just use some acetone over there with a little rag to clean off whatever remaining glue I got left. And then once I got all that clean, we'll go ahead, I'll do a quick wipe down with the acetone again, just real quick. That's what I got. And if you're interested and you want to know, I picked this stuff up at Walmart. Gloss red. It bonds to wood, metal, plastic, you name it, it bonds to it. Paint plus primer. So it covers really fast, less coats. And then once you get that set up on there, I use this stuff right here, Duplicolor Clear. Got this at the local auto parts store. It's a high gloss finish. Now there's a trick to this. You can't just go out and put this on there. Say you spray painted something a couple days ago and you want to go out and shine it up a bit and you want to use this stuff. You can, but it's got to be multiple, I mean like 6, 7 dry coats first. Because if you put it on, it will wrinkle. So if you're going to use the clear, you're going to have to use this stuff like you were just freshly spray painting. So get your panel prepped, put 1 or 2 dryish, medium to dry coats on there to kind of help it set, tack up. Do another 2, 3 wet coats, right? Or however many coats you need to get the coverage that you want. 10, 15 minutes in between each coat, you know, got to give it time to tack up. And then continue on the same with this. And it does not wrinkle. It's the same. If you let the paint sit for a couple days and then try to do it with this stuff, it reactivates the paint, wrinkles it up. So if you're going to use it, treat it like you were just spray painting. Do it all at once. So it's the easiest, less headaches. Matter of fact, see if I can get you. I'll get you a little close up of what I mean. You get on there, kind of sun hits it. You can see the shine it has, and it's oil, gasoline resistant. See, there you go, nice little shine off the inside of there, and that's that rattle can clear. Should do pretty good. It says it's UV resistant, gasoline resistant, scratch resistant, and it kind of has the same finish as a factory clear. You know, when it's fresh off the car lot, from the manufacturer. That's kind of a thin but a hard clear. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So it's pretty durable. I've used it on multiple other things, and it does hold up. So, but anyways, get you guys in the stand here. We'll do a quick time lapse of me just wire wheeling and washing away at the bottom of this hood. Give you guys a little bit of that, and then we'll get into getting this thing painted. All right, hood is washed, it is cleaned, sanded, and prepped. I've already wiped it down with some acetone there. Now, if you guys can see this, you can see with our little Scotch-Brite pad and stuff like that, there's quite a bit of gray primer that shows through, and that's all right. The paint that we got, it is paint plus primer, so it should cover fairly quickly. But what I am going to do is, I got some gloss white paint right here, and I'm going to help our red paint out to kind of bring it out quicker. You know, this could be the difference between 1 or 2 less red coats. So, or you know, you can use primer too if you want, and just make sure you primer the whole thing. The point of the paint plus primer and making the paint stick out, especially with using spray paint, is try to get everything underneath the spray paint somewhat uniform. It does help. So, gloss white paint. We're going to go ahead and start fogging in some of the gray or primer spots on our hood. And just like you normally would when we do the red, just kind of mist it in there, right? You don't even have to cover the whole thing. Just enough to bring the color back to a white. That's it. You don't want to run this stuff, right? See, it's just kind of snowing in there. That's it. Nice light coat. And this is definitely it's gonna help that red stand out more for sure. It is outside, so hopefully I moved it. Hopefully I don't get any leaves falling in there. Yeah, that's okay too. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect by any means. We're painting with spray paint here. But it is gonna look pretty decent. Now you see there, just changing the color back to a white. Nice even dry coats. In there. Yeah. Getting ahead of myself. So, I'll go ahead and finish putting some white on the prime areas around this hood, and we'll be right back with the red paint. All right, got our white paint on. The hood is pretty much one uniform color. It's actually really, really bright. Just went one pretty much dry coat around the whole thing. So it's definitely going to help our red cover a lot better. Show you guys what I'm talking about. So if you got, there you go. So that is like one good coat. You can still see, if you get up there, you can still see some of the gray is still kind of poking through, but not real bad. And that, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's all fairly one uniform color. It's going to help our red stand out much, much better. So now it's time for some red paint. Now, when you put this on, I've seen a lot of people, they just go straight for like the outside edge and they start running back and forth, right? Don't do that. You're going to, some of you are going to go, yes, I know. But some of you out there are going to go, what do you mean? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you. So if you go like this, over the edge like this, you're going to get a lot of paint on all these flat areas here, this edge inside here, but you're going to miss in there. You're only going to fog part of these lines here. And this hood has a lot of contours. So the best thing I have found to do is just hit the edges, right? Nice and light. Oops. And what you do is you want to try to hit all the edges first. It's going to definitely, here I am not paying attention. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't paint through a phone very often. So just get all the light mist on all of your edges first. Go walk all the way around. Try not to hit the center of the hood. That way, when you do go over, all these edges are going to be painted. And you do one good coat of that first, kind of like painting the room of a house. You start around all the edges first, then you do the one coat in the middle, go back, you can do the edges again, and then that way you make sure that you get all of the area painted. So go ahead and get you guys set up in the stand here. We'll do a time lapse. I'm interested to see how that looks, time lapse going from white to red. So here we go. All right, hood is painted. We got clear on it. I used one can of red, so it's got one dry coat of red, one really wet coat of red, and it covered pretty darn good. It was a good thing I hit all the patches of gray with white paint first, otherwise they'd be showing through. And I went ahead and just put the whole can of clear on there. So you can see it's got some color, it's got some shine. Definitely a good 20 footer. Actually doesn't look too bad. Get on there, you guys can see some of the shine of the sun. Gonna look pretty good on that thing right there. Now, it's all spray paint. Truthfully, it's like 10 bucks for the can of red, 20 bucks for the can of clear, 30 bucks. Bottom of that hood's painted. It's not show by any means, but it does look fairly decent. And besides, it's going on this truck here that I'm planning to do drag and drive events with. It's got no inner fenders. It's going to kick up rocks. It's going to get dents, dings, scratches. Fenders, same thing. Firewall, same thing. So it's possible I blow the thing up. Might have a half a dozen or a couple engines in it, in and out. You know, weekend, all that neat stuff. So, but it's got the look. It's going to look really cool, at least for this trip, anyways. Right? We're going to see how everything holds up. So what I'm going to do now is just going to let that guy sit out here and sunbathe for a while. Once Seth gets home, so I can get some help, we'll go ahead, get that thing installed on the truck, get everything lined up, and see how that see how Wild Betty there looks with a hood on it. Say hi, bud. Hi. All right. Hood is on the truck. It's got a hood on it for the first time in months. Nice. I like the red and black going on underneath this thing. Go ahead and shut it for you guys. Yeah, confident. But truck looks pretty darn good. I am really happy with the grill selection. Hood lines up pretty good. Fenders are all tight. They line up pretty good as well. So there's still a lot more work I need to do, but for right now, grill's in, lights are in, hood's on, opens and shuts. All our latches are in place. Using factory hood latch and all that. So just kind of dangles there. It's used to sitting on a inner fender that's no longer there. But it's pretty stiff. I'll just zip tie it to the intercooler water lines. It should be good to go. Guys saw there on the video, it's a good, if you got the front end off and you're changing everything up like I just did, you can tighten the bolts back here once you get the fender lined up with your door. But leave these fender bolts loose down here. Leave the fender bolts loose down here. Leave them loose to the core support. And leave your core support bolts loose as well. Leave your bushings loose. As you guys saw there on the video, I had to take a ratchet strap and kind of pull everything over to the line to square the front end up. So once I did that, I was able to tighten down our front radiator support mounts, tighten up the fenders, install our hood latch and all that, our spring hood latch, adjusters, got all that installed. So now we are one step closer to getting this thing out for a test drive, and that is on the next video. So make sure you guys, if you're new, subscribe. All right, wouldn't want you to miss that. I'm really curious to see how this thing runs. I've got 4 more working weeks at home to get this thing ready. So it's coming along pretty smooth. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. So I'm going to end this one right here. I got to do a little bit of cleanup. Clean out the inside of that cab. So the next time you guys see me, I'll be behind the steering wheel of that truck. And we'll be taking it at least up to get some fuel. See how it runs. See how the brakes work, because we redid the brakes. All the suspension's new. Transmission's rebuilt. I want to see how that shifts. Engine I rebuilt, so I want to see how that runs. Fuel system, everything. Everything has been touched on that truck. So, whew. But anyways, like I said, next video, we're driving the thing. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this motivates you to get out there, work on some of your projects. Maybe even do a little bit of paint work because it's cheap. Less than 40 or about 40 bucks to paint the bottom side of that hood. So, but anyway, guys, if you're new, you made it this far, hit that subscribe button for me. Turn on notifications. Got a lot of other stuff here I'll be getting back to soon, hopefully. Got to get that thing back out at the track. But anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'll catch you on the next one.